Alright, now so we're gonna be reading this book by Chris Bank. It's called Web UI Design Patterns. I just purchased it recently from Amazon or some other Amazon store. I don't remember. Well, alright, it's called Web UI Design Patterns and it's dated back 2014, about 3 years ago. And it says, if you like Pinterest, OkCupid, Spotify, Amazon, Kickstarter, and others, you'll love what you see next. Alright, I'm not sure if I love what's being listed, but let's see if we're gonna love it. There's the index, the map of this book if you want to know it, and as the introduction, Chuck Palahniuk's quote is being given, saying there are only patterns, patterns on top of patterns, patterns that affect other patterns, patterns hidden by patterns, patterns within patterns. Alright, and the author says that for many UI design patterns are challenging concepts to grasp and leverage. This is in part due to the lack of literature of this subject matter compared to the massive archives of technical design patterns. It is also due in part to the fact that it is human nature to use patterns in a similar manner to stencils, tracing the outlines without understanding the edges, every curve, line, twist, and turn in the shapes being drawn. In practice, patterns are often used interchangeably with specific features copied as is from one of the popular design pattern and wireframe libraries. See full list in UXPin's Guide to Wireframing. I don't know what is wireframing yet, and well, I'm new to the subject, but I really want to be a UI creator, because I think this is sort of a language and which is more universal than the language that we speak. The user interface and the modern approach to creating user interfaces is and could be in fact the way of communicating to people from many different places around the world. Like I've always been praising the UI artists from the game industry because I think they at times come up with great things that can and should inspire the those who create real life objects. But I think this process is already on the go, on the way, and it's gonna be obvious to many of us soon. So what are UI design patterns that we follow? Well, I'm gonna skip some parts of the book, even though it is sure important, but I want to at least move through one chapter. So, and it's already quite late, so let's just read it across the lines. In Russia, we say read diagonally, like on the read from uh, well, read on the diagonal. Like I don't know what is the term that they actually used. So UI design partners is a reusable solution, so we say about creating like templates to a commonly occurring problem you might encounter every day. It is not a feature that can be plugged into your product design, and it's not a finished design that can simply be coded. Rather, it is a formalized best practice, a guide or template that designers, developers, and product managers and anyone else who touches the product can use to solve common problems when designing a web application or system. Although it has to be utilized in the correct situation, it is generally language, device, and platform agnostic, although there may be technological limitations depending on how the designs are ultimately implemented. And of course, if implemented in the wrong context, they do more harm than good, but we'll focus on the positives for now. How should I use UI design patterns? It is surprising to see so many beautiful design pattern libraries, and the link goes to, just buy this book and you will know. They treat patterns like mockups, Flat files vainly attempting to convey deeper product design concepts. They offer no explanation about the problems these patterns are solving and how decisions were made in the implementation of the pattern examples. A picture may be worth a thousand words, but it is more likely worthless if the picture is entirely misunderstood. Here's what you need to think about when evaluating the design pattern and adapting it to your own needs. And here the list. Problem summary. What user problem are you solving? Stay focused and phrase it like a user story, in one sentence only. Solution. How have others solved this problem? Among others, few things to detail include user navigations, including shortcuts, getting user inputs, dealing with data and integrations with other services or applications, and displaying information and content, including defaults. Example. Great, can you show me? Sometimes a screenshot or mockup is sufficient. Other times the user flows and or additional notes are necessary to clearly communicate the pattern. Usage. When should this pattern used or not be used? Among others, a few things to detail include product architecture, interface layout, device programming language, device or devices, programming language, absence or existence of other design patterns, type of user, and primary use cases. It takes practice and discipline to think about patterns in this manner if you haven't yet been doing it. Take the time to answer these questions when designing your product because it could help you save a lot of time refactoring down the road when your users and team ask for similar details. Okay, when we're about to move on to the second part, the second chapter, I guess, section, the mobile, web, and desktop convergence. At the heart of many of these new UI design patterns is the emergence of responsive design and incorporation of touchscreens on traditional desktops and laptops. In the mobile UI design patterns ebook, I talked in detail about animations and gestures heavily impacting mobile UI design patterns, which is becoming increasingly relevant to web design as mobile and web continue to their convergence. Responsive design. Today, almost every company wants a mobile version of their website, and vice versa. And although many designers and developers reference responsive design as a fancy synonym for resizable on different devices, it is far from this simple. Many have tried that approach and failed. Smashing Magazine summarizes a common definition of responsive web design. Responsive web design is the approach that suggests that design and development should respond to the user's behavior and environment based on screen size, platform, and orientation. But it's not just about adjustable screen resolutions and automatically resizable images. Practically speaking, a different product must be designed start to finish for each device, not just copy-pasted. One design for the BlackBerry, another for the iPhone, the iPad, Android, Kindle, and so on. To make this process easier, applications on web, which is quickly replacing desktop applications, and mobile are increasingly designed and developed in the same way, so changes made between application implementations are more easily understood and can be made more expediently. Here are a few common considerations to take when designing responsibly. The list starts. Adjusting screen resolution. How do you adjust all of the application content and features to fit on different screen sizes? How do you account for portrait and landscape orientation? Flexible images. How large or smaller images on smaller screens? Do you crop parts of the images or surrounding content? Custom layout structure. How does the navigation respond to smaller screens? How should the layout adjust for smaller sized devices? Next point, showing or hiding content. What is the hierarchy of the content? How do you hide content so it's still intuitively accessible when the user needs it? Next point, adding or removing content and features. What is or isn't necessary in different applications, particularly web versus mobile? How do you make these changes without confusing the user when they switch between web and mobile? Next point, changing user interaction. How does the user interact with content, navigation, action buttons, etc.? Does any content or feature in the product change due to this change in behavior? Next page is touchscreen. Although the iPad, in some respects, an oversized iPhone, is credited for popularizing large touchscreens, it was only the beginning. Not only has it ignited the development of many other large touchscreen devices, but also hybrids, which ultimately increased the complexity of product design and development. And while large and small mobile touchscreen devices are similar in terms of hardware and operating system, the diversity of products in each product class is testament to the difference in use cases for which they are being designed. Granted, there are many iPhone applications that work seamlessly on the iPad, but that doesn't change the way products are designed the same way resizing and rearranging applications between web and mobile isn't really responsive design. The impact that large format touchscreens has on product design will be quite large. These devices are a natural home not just for the viewers and small utilities we've seen on our phones, but for creators and editors, as we see on desktop platforms. Productivity applications are sophisticated, and sophisticated workflows will be norm, and we're just scratching the surface with apps like Dropbox, Mailbox, RelaTelQ, Google Docs, and many others. As Matt Gamma points out, there are several key differences between large and small mobile touchscreen devices that impact how we must think about product design. The list starts with display side. Web apps with more demanding presentation requirements will be at home here. Although you hold your smartphone closer to your face, so the relative visual size between large and small touchscreens isn't that different in many cases, the optionality of viewing content in even greater size and detail is a big benefit for this case. The next point, virtual keyboard size. Web apps which focus on typing are now much more feasible, especially because external keyboards can also be used. Multi-touch and multi-hand. Web apps offering more advanced multi-hand and multi-touch controls are much more feasible, not only because of larger surface area, but because users often only use one hand on their mobile devices, but likely have two free hands when using larger devices. These differences in larger touchscreens devices lead to new UI conventions which can be applied to large mobile devices like the Apple iPad, laptops like the Microsoft Surface Pro, or even larger touchscreens. Master detail visibility. On larger screens, you can see both a list of things master and also additional information about the currently selected thing in the list detail. On smaller screens, only one of the other is visible. Look like viewer, behave like an editor. More real estate should allow for bigger primary content and features for better viewing and interactivity, not necessarily more content and features to fill in all of the space. Edit in place. Unlike other desktop platforms, where there are globally positioned editing UIs with floating palettes, toolbars, menus, and status bars, touchscreens require a greater level of direction between editing across and the object being edited. Make inspectors contextual. If you're going to keep standard editing interfaces in standard positions, consider which elements of the UI are actually necessary or relevant, and scrub the rest. This is a common mistake, even on traditional web and desktop applications where every control is displayed and the relevant ones are only grayed out. Don't overload the user with options. Use modes to simplify UI, allowing the users to switch context easily in sections of the like the previous point deals with the what is sometimes called HUD, heads-up display. That's a good thing. Use modes to simplify UI, allow like creating rigs or whatever, allowing the user to switch context easily in sections of the application make it much easier to add and remove elements of the UI to keep it clear and uncluttered while providing the most relevant content and functionality. Make sure it's simple and not an excuse for feature creep. And don't go overboard with the number of modes. Add fewer features. While users have been trained to accept bloated applications on computers and even the web, they have little tolerance on mobile and touch screens. Feature creep is common in web and desktop applications. Just look at Adobe Photoshop or Illustrator. Most users need only a small set of features. The nice side effect of focused application is that the UI is easier to design and comprehend. Interesting point. That's why if you're a graphic designer or if you want to get a first uh, touch on the game development, for instance, or web design is good, or maybe even animation or movie industry or motion graphic industry. Maybe it's good to start with designing an instance of user interface, and because it's mentioned as a side effect of focused applications. Okay. Build, the next point is build for one hand, allow for two hands. That's a very practical, like pragmatic point. It has to do with user experience and how the user will be touching it. Like, well, it's quite a universal thing. Like my girl is built maybe for one hand, but I like when she allows both hands on. Okay, or this this is not professional to speak about this. The user should also have the option to use one hand and not be required to use two. Ah, that's what I think. That's a good one too. Just because the user has twice the available hands, they typically only have one on smaller screens. Don't provide twice the UI. Dual-handed input should still be done in a discoverable and optional way so the user can enjoy the viewing benefits of a bigger screen and the simplicity of limited options. What about four hands? Okay, let's move on to the next point. Use the psychology of touch. Touch is emotionally important to people. That's just what I've been talking about seconds before. It conveys the identity and realness of an object. With larger screens, users can make much stronger associations between the application and existing real-world associations, or new triggers can be developed more easily because of a greater visual feedback loop from actions taken on the application compared to mobile. Okay, I am done through two chapters and I'm kind of well, not exhausted, but a bit tired and frustrated, and I'm gonna be discussing what we went through. What I saw is the graphics here in this book are um, quite good, and even this one that appeared on some of the first pages showed me some concepts of UI design that are probably now in my head and on my hands on. When I start creating graphic design, I might sketch up something like this in my notepad, and so it's easy, simple, but that's the very basic that comes to you in this graphic form, which is nice. Next, well, yeah, this image is also quite. It's a good visual showing that many different resolutions are there, and when you design a user interface uh, for a platform, for instance Android, which is one of the most popular, you will have to face the big range of uh, screen dimensions which users will have to deal with. Alright, so let me go through the next part of the book, let's say the next three chapters, not reading it aloud because I it's like something like it says here on the mm, bottom right image, like the name of this group, but I will replace love for hate and I would replace science for reading aloud. Alright, it's too much of my creativity in this joke. Okay, so you may push pause and just go through the text if you want. I'll just look around those examples and see if I like them. It's about tagging and Yelp. What is Yelp? I don't know for sure. Find tacos, cheap dinner. It's probably some food restaurant search platform from abroad. And it says Palo Alto, California. Okay, never been there yet. Never been, man. Probably I might not even get there, but I hope I will. Quora Flickr. The next one is IMDb. Why am I reading from right to the left? Like a Mid-Eastern inhabitant. The problem, the user wants to categorize content. Well, yes, this object-oriented concept is very important. If this, then that. If this, then that. Okay. Okay. Kickstarter. Oh, it's black and green. I never knew this. Virgin America. It's like the British concept, and looks minimalistic, nice. And we see a dollar sign, not a pound sign. So it shows how the English-speaking world, it becomes really united, which is good. It's good. I want to travel all around the world, but I want to visit those countries, the languages, which languages I understand. And here I'm referring to the English-speaking countries, which are a great many. There's not a countless number of them, but there's a big number. Okay, I think in this section of this book, the author shows examples, which is a good thing to start the book with. Just get straight into the case study. So he shows these examples and provides his own possible solutions, and it is nice to see those. Alright, jump to section. What is navigation? Oh, this third one was... I forgot, man. Alright. This navigation, just go through this. Problem. The user wants to browse similar content. The current content isn't exactly what they're looking for, and they simply want more. How could they make the user interface approach to UI design something different from what we have? We have something really good, that's for sure. That's no doubt. But what if I want to have just exactly what I want, exactly how I want it? Is it possible to understand what I want? For example, I want to read news from the high-tech Halo style UI, alright? And maybe some publisher offers this to me. But how is it done? Is it only the matter of UI design, but the text style should also correspond to this high-tech atmosphere that I want to see, or maybe another instance of stylized design when I want to get this classic piece of news that was published in Pravda newspaper back in the beginning of the 20th century in Russia. Is it not my friend Sarah? No, some other name. Alright. And the fifth chapter is probably going to be about social networks. Code Academy, Stack Overflow, that's what they start with. Oh yeah, the book is quite worthy. It is quite worthy. I would say I like it. Okay, but let's see even if I have this. I'll check. I'll check if the translation goes well, and then come back to you guys or girls probably. Hope there are some of you too. I like both sexes. I mean, I invite both sexes to listen to my stuff, and I invite both sexes to contact me and ask questions or just start any conversations. But the opposite, with the sex that is opposite from mine, is even more expected. But no. It's not that I'm a pervert. I'm good. I'm good. Is it the time when we have to be proud of being straight? No, it's not. No, it's not. It's normal. And I wish all you guys just a lot of normal, healthy stuff around you just to stay happier, achieve what you want to achieve, and if you don't want to achieve what you actually have, I I wish it is for your own good. Okay, well, nobody is watching my translation anyway. But goodbye. I love all of you people. That's good. That's good that we're human. Even if they're not human, I like them. I like them a priori before they prove to be bad. I love them before they prove to be bad. And then they prove to be bad, I stop loving them and I get to be like a berserk, you know what I'm saying? Right, anyway.